This video is brought to you by Raycon. It's the holidays already. Why does time keep moving so fast and constantly leave me behind? Luckily, Raycon's essential open earbuds are here to save me from my existential crisis. And this Black Friday and Cyber Monday, you can save up to 30% on all Raycon audio products. I'm already feeling slightly less depressed. The essential open earbuds wrap around my ear so slick and cool I barely notice I'm wearing them during my daily routine like house cleaning or thinking about neglecting the dishes again. It must be a day that ends in Y. And I've been using Raycons for years because I genuinely think they're cool, especially during late night yoga workouts where I can keep things a little more discreet. They sit just outside of your ear canal so you can rock out to music and podcasts while still being aware of your surroundings, lasting 8 hours on a single charge with the rechargeable carrying case giving you 36 hours of total battery life, all while delivering the same premium audio quality as the big brands out there but at half the price, with over 3 million happy customers and a 30-day happiness guarantee backing up your purchase. Black Friday is just around the corner. Raycon audio products are up to 30% off site-wide, from everyday essentials to the latest releases. It's the perfect time to upgrade your sound or get ahead on gifting. But these early deals won't last long, so shop now before they're gone. Just click the link in the description below or go to buyraycon.com/somecallmejohnny open to save on Raycon audio products site-wide. Once again, that's buyraycon.com/somecallmejohnny open. And as always, thank you so much for supporting my channel this holiday season. Now let's continue on with the show. Alright, let's head back into Spyro. I really did not mean for my first genuine look at the series to be so scattered. I'm only at the second game and I'm already feeling bad for that guy. But at this point, I'm ready to write off this year just having existed, and I'm just going to use that renewed energy to make the holidays in 2026 a return to form. And now I'm in completely unfamiliar territory. Until today, my knowledge of Spyro never extended past the first game, and even then, my review was the first time I actually completed it. So now it's time to find out if I really have been missing out all these years, and from what I understand, the next two games on the PlayStation 1 are something more up my alley. Next up is Spyro 2 Ripto's Rage, released in 1999, about a year after the first game, which from my understanding had a slow start in terms of sales, but after good press and word of mouth, it eventually picked up and sold about 1 million units before the next year's end. Just goes to show that it's not the end of the world if a new IP doesn't immediately take off. Sometimes shit just takes time. But I guess Sony Computer Entertainment didn't want to risk losing any possible momentum, so right to the second game Insomniac started developing with the intention of creating something a little more challenging than the first game. So what does that entail for Spyro 2? Let's get into it. Spyro and his faithful buddy Spark just want to get the hell out of Dodge for the time being, with their world artisan currently dealing with constant shitty weather. They decide they're going to take a portal to Dragon Shores and get a much needed vacation. However, Spyro winds up in the world of Avalar instead. So a week prior to the start of the game, residents of Avalar, Alora, Hunter, and the Professor were experimenting with portal technology, but thanks to Hunter doing a fucky-wucky, they inadvertently summoned the sinister Ripto to their realm, who immediately starts making plans to take over the place when he realizes that dragons don't exist in Avalar, and because, well, he's a prick. So realizing that recruiting a dragon is in their best interest, Alora gets the idea to summon a dragon from another world, hence Spyro's current predicament. And with the portal device being taken out of commission thanks to Ripto, Spyro doesn't have much of a choice but to help the inhabitants of Avalar with their problems, most of them not involving Ripto at all, and that's where I wanted to start. For a game called Ripto's Rage, Ripto's barely a thing in this story. Granted, he's involved in some form or fashion during the game's boss battles, which are awesome, I'll get into those later. But for most of the game, the dude's a non-entity. Most of Spyro's stay in Avalar has him dealing with completely unrelated shenanigans, including territorial disputes, insect infestations, electrical outings. I think I counted 2 civil wars, bearing witness to the universe's loudest bagpipes, a secret agent mission involving 2 kids that are there for some reason, and what the fuck? Why did the 2 kids suddenly have eyes redder than the devil's dick? This is never explained. The kids just mug to the camera and what, they got psychic powers? What's going on there? And why can't they help me out with other shit? Help me take down Ripto? What, Avalar got child labor laws or some other shit? Psychic powers don't give a fuck. But yeah, I was expecting more screen time with Ripto. I kind of forgot he was even a character given how long we go without seeing him at times. But I mean, when he is on the screen, I think he's a fun villain. A real asshole too. You're more than happy to roast this guy towards the end of the game. Easily more entertaining than Nasty Nork, who, yeah, was the cause of all of Artisan's problems from previously, so if you were to ask me which villain I think had more presence, I'd say Nasty Nork, but he wasn't very interesting, and I also felt he was kind of justified in attacking the dragons, given the unprompted insults from those guys. You know what though, I could have used more Ripto for sure, but I found everyone else pretty enjoyable. I'm talking both the new characters and all of the world's inhabitants. There's a lot of voice acting in this game, and I think it really goes far in making the game's locales feel alive. A lot of these guys are real fucking assholes to each other though, like it's all done for the sake of classic slapstick, but holy Christ, some of these guys really have it out for each other. Lawsuit!
Even though I'm a vegetarian, I think you should kill that Yeti.
Brother Ned, the subtitle says torch the Yeti, not kill. You're scaring me, Brother Ned. Speaking of assholes, I get that the fairy, what was her name, Zoe? She's just trying to help Spyro by saving his progress and providing checkpoints, but her method of doing this is just zapping me, and that shit sounds loud. Damn, that's not too far from a taser, man, and she never lets up on this. Every time I cross a checkpoint, even if I crossed it before, yo, chill with that shit.
Spyro, 3 thieves have stolen our magical brass lamps. Please get the lamps before they take them away from Shady Oasis.
Wait, did I just hear the sound director in the background there?
Please get the lamps before they take them away from Shady Oasis.
I guess the audio editing was kind of on the rush side, considering this happens a couple of times throughout the game. From what I was able to pick up anyway, I think it helped that I was recording this game while wearing headphones.
I'm not leaving unless you hide behind that tree so you can't see me.
Like, they couldn't take an extra second just to edit that shit out? What the hell? All right, next paragraph. It was also fun trying to count just how many characters were voiced by Tom Kenny. He replaces Carlos Alazraqui as Spyro in this title, so that's something, huh? They replaced Rocco with Heifer. And considering Mr. Krabs voiced so many characters last time, does this mean I can expect Mr. Lawrence to voice something in the third game?
Sorry, Spyro. I'd love to teach you how to swim underwater, but not as much as I'd love to take your treasure.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
But man, Tom Kenny really does get his work cut out for him with an absolute glut of side characters you talk to during your adventure, including some where he's just straight up using his SpongeBob voice, which I guess to be fair, this was 1999, so he was probably still trying to practice it when he could, since SpongeBob SquarePants just debuted the same year. SpongeBob turns 30 in 4 years. The new characters are fun. I didn't really think much of the professor. He was a cool dude, but doesn't do much outside of what's needed. I liked Laura, despite her calling me a dork, thinking she was a goat. I thought she was a satyr. And there are satyrs in this game, but no, she's a fawn. Mystical creatures are so confusing. I sort of wish she was more involved with Spyro's progression, since I think it's implied, if not outright stated, that she has a thing for Spyro, and I think Spyro feels the same way. I think it would have been a cute dynamic. Maybe it's a thing in later games, who knows? Then again, I thought Angela and Ratchet and Clank was going to do more, and she promptly left the fucking building, didn't she? So is Laura going to be the prototype Angela in this case? Guess we'll find out. All right, I want to ask you guys something. Did anyone else think Hunter was going to be a bad guy? He's introduced alongside the others, and because of his tomfoolery, he's the reason Ripto's brought into Avalar. Okay, we all make mistakes, but then Allura sort of antagonizes him early in the game's plot.
Hey, I could do that. Why doesn't the dragon just torch Ripto?
Hunter, you can't even keep track of your running shoes. How can we trust you with 14 talisman?
Look at that, he's got nothing to say after that, like it really fucking hurt him. Whoa, what was that? He snapped his fingers and ran off like he was plotting something. And then throughout the game, while he helps Spyro collect what he needs to stop Ripto, and not for nothing, he's damn good with a glider and a fucking marksman with a bow and arrow. He's no stranger to the occasional barbed quip, almost like he's jealous of Spyro. But then nothing happens. No, he's a good guy through and through, and I thought for sure he was going to be revealed to be like a double agent secretly working for Ripto, but no, that's not it at all. He's just a couple of cans short of a six-pack. Am I just too cynical? He raised so many red flags for me. Yeah, I know I'm a 38-year-old man overanalyzing a game made for kids. It pays the bills, all right? Let's get into the game properly though, and heading into this after the first game wasn't asking for much since Spyro is almost the same as he was previously. He's got the fire breath, he can glide after jumping, and he can ramp shit with his face with no immediate repercussions. But this game now gives Spyro this little hover he can do at the end of a glide to help get over those ledges that are just far enough away. And considering how much I bitched and moaned about how tight some jumps were in the last game, I greatly appreciate this addition. Although sometimes my brain got tangled in remembering what button the hover was. You know, jump is on X, and the hover ability, which is supposed to supplement the jump, is on triangle, on the opposite end of the button layout. I don't know, it wasn't very natural for me. I instinctively wanted to hit square for hover, but that's the tackle button, so sometimes I prematurely stop my glide because my dumbass hit the wrong button. I think maybe it would have been better for me if the hover were activated hitting X a third time. It'd be less brain power to consider in the heat of a tight platforming sequence, of which this game has several. Control-wise, I want to say Spyro was about the same as before, but given that the game puts more emphasis on platforming challenges and other obstacle courses that require more precision, I felt Spyro's naturally wide turning to be more of a detriment this go around. It's the one thing that made this godforsaken crystal minigame with Hunter so aggravating, since it requires making precise movements lickety-split to grab the crystals before Hunter does, and let me tell you, that shit's not easy. You know, I had people wondering if I struggled with this trolley minigame or the Alchemist escort mission later down the road, and don't get me wrong, I had my share of resets, but these honestly weren't that bad. Okay, the Alchemist mission, I could have gone without the game making me do the mission twice, because I had the audacity to finish it the first time before getting the headbutt upgrade, which is needed to finish the Hunter mission immediately preceding this one, which the game only tells you after finishing the Alchemist mission. So thanks for wasting my time, guys. Fine, Jesus. Still, none of them came close to the frustration I went through trying to win this fucking game. I hated it. Worst part of the game for me. Mini games are the bread and butter of Spyro 2's gameplay though, assuming you're trying to get everything, which I was, so yeah. If you're not, then Spyro 2 doesn't ask for much more than the first game. You're not rescuing dragons this go around. Instead, you need to collect a certain number of talismans to unlock the gate to the world's boss fight. Talismans are your reward for getting to the end of the level. You can consider them the equivalent of the crystals in Crash Bandicoot 2 and 3. And getting to the end of the level usually doesn't require much more than just torching some dudes here and there and some basic platforming. There are even some more flying levels functioning exactly how they worked before. Yeah, just going for the talismans is the basic Spyro 1 experience. However, there are other things to nab as well. Gems are brought back and are once again scattered just about everywhere. You can find them on the ground, breakable objects, anything that looks suspicious, you'll likely find a hoard of gems. God forbid you miss any darn exploration though, because nothing sucks more than missing gem completion by just a handful of these fuckers, and now it's a scavenger hunt. And I feel in Spyro 2, it's a little worse given the more complicated level design and the gems being harder to spot from a distance. In the original game, all gems had this shiny white sparkle that made them pop from any distance. This game still has that, but I think it's way more subdued and not as easy to notice. Thankfully for me, this issue only popped up a handful of times. I like to think I'm pretty thorough with this kind of shit, but still, if you're thinking about getting all these sons of bitches, you better keep your eyes open. But since talismans are the main collectible for level progression, gems now serve a new purpose, and that's currency, since there's this asshole now named Moneybags that blocks your path all the damn time unless you pay him a fee. He's also secretly funding one of the civil wars on both sides, and Spyro's aiding him with gem payouts. So Spyro, I think you might be prosecuted at some point. So once you leave Avalar, don't fucking come back. Moneybags is also how you learn some new abilities, like swimming in water or climbing certain walls and doing a basic ass ground pound. What the fuck, I gotta pay to learn something like this? Did you pay to learn how to jump too, Spyro, you dumbass? These new skills really aren't much to write home about, since the game doesn't ask you to do much with them outside of their intended purpose. You climb walls when you need to, you ground pound when you need to. I will say the swimming controls feel good. I feel that compliment should be stressed in an era where swimming controls in a 3D space were still relatively new. These are just fine. You can even still tackle things while underwater. You want to break some jars? Booyah. We got crabs? I ain't afraid no crab. Oh shit! Spyro just fucking obliterated those guys. God damn. What are these crabs made of paper mache, or is Spyro's head made out of fucking titanium? The upgrades are a little lacking, but the game still has temporary power-ups too, unlocked by killing a certain number of enemies in the area, a change I'm actually pretty grateful for. Killing enemies in the original game just gave you more gems for progression. And you know, that's fine, but I like the variation Spyro 2 brings with this. Everything has a different purpose in these levels that leads to progression, and it helps make completing stages more fulfilling to me. Not to mention, a lot of power-ups are just plain fun to use. I'll never say no to Superflight to fly anywhere I want temporarily, it's so gratifying. I was able to get a dragon orb early in the first level without needing the climb upgrade because of how much fun I had using it. I love that the Super Flame in Spyro 2 is an explosive fireball, infinitely more satisfying to use than in Spyro 1. I just love how shit explodes when you hit things with these. I even liked whatever the hell that Super Bounce was called because I found it fun to aim in a specific area, you run right through, then you try to glide to new spots with the extra height given. In one of the last levels, Metropolis, there's even a combination power-up giving you both Super Flight and Super Flame, and you hunt down UFOs with it. That shit was awesome. This was one of my favorite levels in the game because of that shit. But I do find it a missed opportunity that the game didn't do stuff like this earlier. Is that Sheldon from Garfield and Friends? Bam! In fact, being real, I think the game could have gone without Spyro needing to pick things up with his mouth and, either plant seeds to grow platforms in levels like Zephyr or launch rocks or something like that to break things. Some requiring multiple throws for no other reason than to pad out level length. Like honestly, why do I have to throw this rock at this door 3 times just to get it open? One is enough. This ain't like opening a red door in Metroid. Now, I think the Super Flame should have just been used more. I'm a dragon. Dragons shoot fire. That's what they do. And I know Spyro already has fire breath, but I want to use the big fire breath, goddammit. But yeah, all this shit is eventually needed since some levels' full completion requirements are gated behind these abilities. But more importantly, they're also needed to get dragon orbs. These are the next major collectible besides the talismans. Some you can just find by exploring. Most of them though are rewarded by doing optional side missions in every level. And if you ask me, this is the real bulk of Spyro 2's gameplay, doing these side missions. Now, a lot of them just amount to, find X number of this thing, destroy X number of these things. Chasing down fuckers like those egg thieves from last time. Fuck, I didn't miss this. It can be so finicky, especially with the 4 you gotta chase down, I think it was the Mystic Marsh. But I think if I aim just at the right position here, yeah, there we go, look at that, using that PS1 jank to my advantage. A lot of side missions though require that Spyro play minigames, and I want to say I was okay with most of them. First impressions weren't great though. One of the earliest you can play is this fishing one, where you have to knock fish into this giant head's mouth, but it's picky and only likes certain fish. And once you find out what those are, it turns into a boring as fuck waiting game. Yeah! I thought the hockey minigame was perfectly fine, even though I wouldn't consider myself a fan of hockey in the slightest, but there's just something satisfying with knocking my opponent on his ass with my fire breath, allowing me to easily score a goal. I just hope this dude's team doesn't take it out on him later.
Hey, don't pass to this guy, he sucks! You suck!
The missions involving stopping things under a time limit weren't terrible when I realized it was more of a game of memorization than reflexes, like the ones with the dinosaurs in Skelos Badlands, or to mention again the Alchemist mission in Fractured Hills. These gave me problems, but it's nothing a little practice couldn't solve, and watching the skeleton dance at the end of the Badlands level was a reward in of itself. I would have liked more dragon orbs rewarded for exploration though, since I think that was one of the original game's major appeals. One of my favorite missions in this game was finding the professor's pencil in Mystic Marsh because it involves a series of item trading through the level that requires logical thinking and level memorization, stuff that I think you naturally learn just by exploring shit. I thought that was pretty fun. No man, the missions I fucking hated more than anything involves Hunter in some form or fashion. I'm telling you, I think he was supposed to be a bad guy at some point. I mentioned the crystal minigame earlier, but man, this fucking paragliding game with the rings felt awful, since not only is the precision needed kind of weird, and you're constantly fighting against Hunter moving the boat all over the place, you can't afford to miss a single ring. It's back to start if you do. There's the gliding game where you have to catch stuff as it's falling. Again, not the easiest shit to do when your turning is as wide as Spyro's, but thankfully I think the devs must have realized that too, because the hitboxes for this thing are very generous. Look at that. I don't even think I actually touched that son of a bitch and the game gave it to me anyway. Either way, when you're done collecting everything you need in the world, it's time for a boss battle against one of Ripto's goons. And I know the first game didn't really set the bar high for boss battles, considering every boss in Spyro was pretty fucking lame looking back. Spyro 2 more than makes up for it. I wish the loading screen for them didn't look so cheap though. You went to the boss room, the loading screen just shows their name in a static JPEG in complete silence. My ass is just tingling with excitement. The battles against Crush, Gulp, and lastly Ripto are miles above anything we've fought before. These boss fights were stellar, a good blend of action, reflexes, and showing off what Spyro can do with his power-ups. No complaints here, I genuinely enjoyed these encounters. Ripto is sent packing, Avalar is saved, and Spyro finally heads to Dragon Shores for the much needed vacation. You can play some fun mini games. If you collected everything, you can unlock a permanent Super Flame, which is awesome. I like going back to the boss fights and just fucking nuking them to hell with this. Yeah, that's pretty cool. I don't think collecting everything was a waste of time in Spyro 2, if you ask me. So I did enjoy my time here, but at the end of the day, did I enjoy Spyro 2 more than the first game? So I had to think about this, and I want to say I liked it as much as the first game for different reasons. I like the additional variance to gameplay. I don't think Spyro 2 radically changes the gameplay to the point of it being unrecognizable. No, despite the hockey, despite the trolleys, despite avoiding bombs from this borderline racist stereotype, Spyro 2 still feels like a Spyro game, whatever that means by the second entry. However, despite giving you more to do, Spyro 2 does feel a little long in the tooth. There are only 3 major worlds in this game, and the second world, Autumn Plains, has so many more levels than the first and last worlds that I felt like I was in this hub world for an eternity. The levels themselves had plenty of aesthetical differences and their own charm, but the world holding them together was starting to overstay its welcome, which I feel the original game didn't have this problem because there was a better world to level ratio. And because some levels now require power-ups you get from later worlds to fully complete, this means you actually have to backtrack now, which just wasn't a thing in Spyro 1. Spyro could do everything he wanted from the get-go, so in a strange way, despite having more to do, Spyro 2 can feel more limiting than Spyro 1. Still, I had my fun. I did enjoy my time with this, and ultimately, I could recommend Spyro 2 as a good, albeit long-winded 3D platformer. But I gotta say, 2 games in, and I'm still not entirely convinced that I've been missing out all this time. You know, Spyro 2 came close a couple of times through my adventure, but nothing's clicked with me just yet. But there's still one more game on the original PlayStation, and that is Spyro Year of the Dragon. Maybe this will be the one. Maybe this will be my definitive Spyro the Dragon experience. But I'd like to know what you guys think. Do you think Spyro 2 is better in just about every way over the original game, or do you think the original game still beats the second game by virtue of its, you know, free-flowing design and just being able to do whatever you want, whenever you want it? Like, I can play both games. If you're asking me, like, could you recommend both? Yeah, I can play both. But, like, I am interested to see what you guys fall in line with. Which game is better. All right, but in terms of the next time we meet, I'm not heading back to Castlevania yet to wrap up the videos with Order of Ecclesia. It's the holidays, and you know what that means for this channel. We got new Sonic releases for the holiday season, and there's 2 of them this time. We got Sonic Racing Cross Worlds, and there's that Sonic Rumble game. And I think for the next video, I'm gonna combine both of them into a video because I don't think I could effectively make a versus video separately for all of them. One's a racing game, and one looks like a Fall Guys clone. But, so I think it's just best if I combine both games. And if you're part of the Patreon, or if either through the Patreon itself or you're a Twitch sub, I will be recording sessions for that in the Discord itself. So if you would like to be a part of that, videos and multiplayer footage, now's a good time to be in that Discord. Join the Subshack with the rest of those chuckle fucks down there and argue about Sonic for days. It happens all the damn time. And speaking of the Subshack, or just my lovely supporters in general, how about some more shout outs here? So, shout outs to Sonic DBZ Fan 4699, Bort, Lamarcus Scarrett, Xanathan, Mr. GamerBots Art, Ian Sinful Habits, Kelmachi, Spooky Wookie, Abery, Playtendo 4, Saber and Silver, Banber 2000, Byron, Super Dana, Heartless, Hugh D, Proto Blue, Sawyer Young, Alexander Rayway, Act Fusion, Trojan 64, Beowulf the Bounty Hunter, Toaster 1012, Shadow Goku 21, KB Prince Fluff the 4th, B Senpai 97, Anguish Full, Michael Cook, Chiaki Nanami, Jade Oreos, Mr. Potato 879, John Ackerman, Krabby Charbo, Mad Duck, Boss Karma, Dominique Ferguson, Joshua Williams, Shotaro Joestar, Gio Dio, Blake Jekyll, Phil Jimenez, or Garrick Ray, Sunderstorm, Kevin Turnetta, Kate the Cat, Cart Knock, SSY Baby SS, or is that Psy Baby SS? I don't know. Pride 64, Jarrett Locaroto, Demos Pitas, Rube, Elijah Bog, Commissar Luigi, Supersonic 28, Foxlicious Q, A New 1997, Rush Art, Aaron S, Anari, Darth Kami, Gamma Gantle, Shade 99, DJ Spin Dash, Studio Oddity, Sinjit Raldawa, That One Gaming Guy 88, The Cam Man, and finally for today, The Almighty Fool. That's me. No, that's someone else in The Almighty Fool. But enough about what I see in the mirror. Anyway, guys, I will see you guys for the Sonic Racing Crossworld / Sonic Rumble combo video. Have a good night, everybody. Thank you all for watching. Have yourselves a fantastic night, and take care.